All right, we're back. Judd'z Budz, episode 148. The Wayne Gretzky plus Victor Rask episode. As always, your host, Spoke Z, joined by my good buddy, Mr. at State of Hoppy. Hoppy, how we doing?
We're actually doing okay. We've rebounded. It was not a good night with the little one, we'll say. Not even night. At what point of night / morning does like it transition from night to morning? If let's assume like when you fall asleep and stuff like is out of the equation, right? Like where would you say night ends and morning begins?
Oh, I am the wrong person. I am especially the wrong person to ask today because I've been awake since 2:30 in the morning. I just woke up and my brain was like, "Yep, it's day time now," and I was like, "It's not though. It's really not." And my brain said, "No, it is, motherfucker."
See, I would say you woke up at like 2:30 a.m. at night. I'm trying to decide. Like, I feel like 4 a.m. is firmly morning.
Good, yeah.
I feel like 3 o'clock is where I'm undecided. It's kind of my gray area. I don't know.
Like 4 is a good cutoff.
Chat, let us know. Like, where does morning start and night end? But yeah. Anyways, it would have been morning for me either way. Then, based on what we've just discussed, it was like 4:45 that he woke up, and like he pulled the bullshit where I got him to fall back asleep on me, but it's like every 3 to 5 minutes he would like wake up, and it's not like just like jostling, getting into a new position, like literally like reaching up and like grabbing my face. I'm like, oh shit.
He's like, hey, just so you know, I am up.
It's like somewhere in the 10 to 20 minute range. Like if he's been asleep for that long, like he's a sack of potatoes. Like I can throw him around and he's good. So like it's at least 10 minutes I got to wait before I can transition him back into the crib. So like I was just sitting there just constantly like resetting my mental clock. And it was tough. It was tough, but it's been a good day otherwise. So we've rebounded and now we've got alcohol, which helps a lot. It's nature's cure.
It's the key to good parenting is a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, except until the bullshit where they said like, oh, the kid's whining and won't go to bed, but you can't rub like whiskey on his gums. Like, oh, that's not okay.
Please.
Like, I'm gonna use the nice stuff. Like,
yeah, it's gonna be like top of the line.
I'll give him Weller. It's fine. Like, I'm not like abusing him. I'm not giving him Jim Beam or Jack Daniels. It's okay. But yeah, so otherwise, that's a long roundabout way of saying we're fine. You getting through?
Getting through. Like I said, woke up at 2:30 and just brain was like
early or late for you.
I don't know. It happens so often that like I don't even know why. I was like, this is a big deal. It happens so fucking often. It's very annoying, especially when I fall asleep early, like before midnight, and then like. Again, my brain is just like, psych, you thought, motherfucker. Like, no, you will never get more than 3 hours. You will never get more than 3 hours. It's unbelievable. And then I worked for 12 hours. As I was telling you before we went live, I think I've gone through well over 1,000 pages of medical records today. My eyeballs, well, they hurt, but I feel great. I feel really good, and I'm just really excited, really happy to be here and doing this shit. And talking about hockey. I love hockey. Go hockey.
It sounded like you were like accepting a bullshit award in an awards show. Really, really excited to be here, everybody. Dude, I saw it popped up on my scrolling since TikTok came back from its long deceased existence of like 12 hours. Dude, have you heard the shit about the phones that people are selling on eBay?
No.
So apparently, a lot of people, like when TikTok went dark for, again, like 12 hours before they were back up and operational again, a bunch of people deleted the app.
Mm-hmm.
And while it's reinstated, it hasn't been re-added to the App Store. So people are literally selling their iPhones for like between $1,000 and $3,000 on eBay because it has TikTok downloaded. And I think I've seen some that are like 5 figures. That's like
so dark.
I'm just so skeptical of it. Like I don't want to put in all that work and then have no one buy it from me. So I'm just like not even
Yeah.
He's like, I'm fine giving up TikTok. If you came up to me and said, I will give you $200 to never go on TikTok again, I'd be like, yeah, man.
Like, yeah, absolutely. I've never even had TikTok.
Two problems. I now have $200 I didn't previously have, and I can't sit here and doom scroll this shit.
That's happened before. What was it? Oh, it was Flappy Bird. Remember that shit? Remember that game?
I never partook.
I remember they fucking had that.
Are you talking Angry Birds or is Flappy Bird different?
Flappy Bird. It was.
Never heard of it.
It was nuts, dude. The guy, people were getting livid when they would lose, to the point where the guy that created the app was getting like thousands of death threats almost every day. And then like people were like, we know where you live. And they actually knew where he lived. And then he just like shut it down, which I was like, I feel like that's like guaranteed. If those people are now definitely going to come find you. But it was the same thing. People still had it. Like that was back in the iPod Touch days, though. I had my iPod Touch still, and I had Flappy Bird on there, and it was just funny. But it is nuts how addicted, like the TikTok thing. Like, I when I was still teaching, dude, we had students that somehow successfully got the school to not let us take kids' phones away, even if they were like using them in our face, because just in case of emergencies. And I was like, what the fuck are they gonna do? Like, what do you mean in case of emergencies? We're right here. But like, it's they were like, if you get rid of TikTok, I will die.
Yeah, it's not good. But so I saw, I never knew this even existed, but apparently Robert De Niro got like so high before accepting an award that he like went up there and like didn't really know what was going on. And he had Robin Williams come up to accept the award for him. That was my big side tangent from you like accepting an award right now. But I'd like just saw that a day or two ago, so it was very top of mind for me.
Anytime I think of an award ceremony, I immediately just go to Ricky Gervais, Golden Globes, just eviscerate. I just am such a big face. Like, come up here, take your little stupid award, and fuck off. I don't want to hear about. No one cares. No one cares what you have to say. No one likes you. You're all terrible people. Come up here, get your fucking award, and sit the fuck back down. They're just drinking his beers.
So the ones that stand out for me are Emma Stone being wasted. And it was actually quite enjoyable. There was...
I have two more that I can think of.
Taylor Swift being upstaged by Kanye, and South Park did such a good job of making fun of it. Oh my God, it was incredible. Anyone that hasn't seen the episode called The Hobbit, just watch it. Trust me. Worth every second. And the last one for me isn't even an acceptance, but off of South Park, when Trey and Matt, creators of South Park, go to an award show. I was it the Oscars or Golden Globes? I don't know what it was, but they were asked to go, and this is the first time they didn't turn it down. They both showed up wearing dresses, like cross-dressing, and they were both like they dropped acid hard going into it. And like everyone's interviewing them, and like their only goal was to not address talking about what they were wearing. Like the whole bit was, okay, we're going to get through all of this and we're just going to act like there's nothing weird about what we're doing. And they achieved it, of course. They're the smartest people in the world. They should be running our country, but I digress.
They are like,
they went after Muhammad and didn't get killed.
Yeah. I mean, that's Hall of Fame. Right. Again, I never had TikTok because all the good ones end up on fucking Instagram Reels anyways. And like every once in a while, it'll just like go to those two writing and then doing the fucking episode. It's so fucking like they have a giant whiteboard and they're like, ooh, that one's gonna be fucked up. They're like, yep, do it. No,
seeing them behind the scenes, like doing the actual recordings for some of the impressions are phenomenal.
It's unbelievable.
Oh man. Horror Docs, I'm not mad. I'm just sad for you. Maybe you haven't watched the right episodes. You'll have to shoot me a DM on Twitter, and I will tell you like some of the top episodes to watch. And if you still hate it, then I accept your stance. Oh, the console wars is pretty good. I don't know if you ever saw those, Z. Cole brought it up. So they did a little trilogy episode for Black Friday, and the whole bit is like it's all like riffing off of Game of Thrones, but it's a battle of Xbox versus PlayStation at Black Friday. It's so well written.
They're fucking insane. Like, again, just watching those videos of them actually doing this, it's ridiculous. Like, it's like, I don't even know how they get through like 10 minutes of reading. Like, I just like,
they have to do a lot of redos.
Yeah.
They stop and laugh so much. Especially, the Asian impressions they do are just so audacious. They can't help it. Yeah. There's Cosgrove. Black Friday Bundaroo.
There you go.
All right. Well, we should maybe consider talking about a little bit of hockey. And pretty much as insane as the whole tangent we just took, this is not a planned transition, but what in the absolute hell is going on in the NHL right now, Z? I mean, I'm going to guess that right off the top, 90% of the people listening know exactly what I'm referring to. But for those that don't, why don't you clue them into what just happened in the NHL?
Yeah. One of the biggest trades we've seen, not just like in the last year or two, but like last like decade plus. Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall end up in Carolina. Chicago only gets what, a fucking third.
The best though with that,
their own third round pick.
It's their own third round pick, but initially everyone's like, oh my gosh, this could be like genius because they're getting their own pick back and maybe they've got some big offer sheet planned. Like, it's for this year. Yeah. Offer sheets are after this draft. It's like you would need next year's. And like Friedman said it, and he's already come out and apologized and clarified, like, nope, I'm an idiot, whatever. But I wonder, like, it'd make me so happy, Z, if that's what the Blackhawks thought they were doing. They're like, we got to get our pick back. This is what makes it worth it. We're going to be able to do this and that. And they get it. And like, oh, wait. Shit.
Wait a minute. Fuck.
What was all that 1 in a million talk?
Yeah. I think, was it just I literally, like, I had to read the trade 6 times, the full details, before I actually could like comprehend what was going on. Cause I was like, there's no way Chicago is only getting their third round pick back. Right. And then like, nope, they are. That's all they're getting. But Mikko Rantanen to Carolina, best friend of Sebastian Aho. Jack Drury and Marty Necas head off to Colorado.
Talk to me about Drury. I don't know enough about like what his projection looks like.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fourth line, super physical, more defensive oriented, obviously. But he scores in his first game with Colorado. Nate just puts up 2 assists. But Jack Drury is a fourth line, like just grinder again. Like he'll fight anybody, kills penalties. He has some offensive touch. He was a pretty good player in college. But a nice like fourth line player on like a team with cup aspirations. Like he was really good in the playoffs last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember, but he had a really good playoff. So like a complimentary piece for your fourth line, and plays that playoff style. Like how Rod Brindamore likes his players to play like 1,000 miles an hour for 82 games. And then they try to keep doing on the playoffs. Like Jack Drury, that's just like, he's an energy guy, nonstop, super physical. But again, he's got some scoring touch, scores in his first game with Colorado, and like a very funny win over the Rangers, a very funny regulation win, game 1. But Necas in that first game with Colorado looked fucking unbelievable. And I feel like I saw some people reacting to it like, that's all you get for Rantanen. And like, on one hand, part of me was like, yeah, I would have expected maybe like draft picks, prospects, but I feel like a lot of people haven't really, because I mean, Carolina is such a weird team where they're like really good. They've always, the past, however, since Brindamore's got there, they've been one of the better teams in the league in the regular season, anyways. Despite the fact that like their big names are like Sebastian Aho, Well, would you throw Teravainen into that conversation like Svechnikov?
No.
You're right, exactly. Like,
yeah.
But the last couple of years, Nate just really took off. So we'll see now if he plays more center or if they're going to keep him on the wing in Colorado. Because I mean, Middlestat had been disappointing for them. They were hoping that he would turn into that second line center for them.
Sure.
And it hasn't really panned out. But Nate just gives you flexibility there. He's lightning quick. He is ridiculously skilled. He's got a great shot, really good playmaker. He's like just dynamic offensively. And again, like watching that power play against the Rangers in game one, like Nate just fits right in. Not just their puck movement, but that power play is so fucking terrifying because it's just the puck moving. All 5 players are flying around. It is an absolute spin cycle. And there was one sequence where, like, I think Nate just hit the crossbar and the post. McKinnon rung one off the bar. Shesterkin made 2 diving saves, like all in like a 35-second period. And I tweeted the clip out. I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying. But Nate just gets 2 assists in that one. The second one was ridiculous. It was like a half spinner Rama backhand just sending into Makar. Just a ridiculous assist. So that's a really, really nice player. And he's not going to cost the same that Rantanen's going to cost. So we'll see what happens in Carolina. I have to pull up their like cap projections, but I think they should have space. But it's going to be a huge number, which is why obviously they make that trade, because it just sounds like whatever he's looking for. I mean, he was wanting Draisaitl money, I guess. And I guess, Colorado's probably just not in a position to do that when you've got Makar making 9, McKinnon's making what he's making, and they've got a couple other guys that they're going to have to pay to here.
Yeah, their line in the sand from Friedman, at least, was we will not go past McKinnon. And he's like, that's unfortunate. I want that.
Right.
It was pretty shocking to me, though, like how surprised everyone was. Like McKinnon had no idea this was happening.
Rantanen said he was shocked.
So, like, I don't blame them for making the move. And I think the biggest reason that the return was what it was is because, like, Rantanen has not extended as part of the trade. So, like, I get it, but it is a big bummer for them to lose him for, again, solid pieces, but you didn't replace him. It's just like the Tkachuk trade where everyone thought that, Calgary fleeced Florida. Get the best player in the trade. You're usually going to be the one that comes out on top. And clearly that's what Carolina did. It's going to be interesting too, because, like, I wonder if Tulski's like, while you guys are playing in that weird 4 nations, I don't know why they called it that tournament, you can just, have a little chat with your buddy Mikko. Thanks, Sebastian.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, wrong Sebastian. Oops. You're not on my team. Other Sebastian.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up. I am still, I think I said this a while ago. I'm still not used to Puckpedia's page versus Cap Friendly's. I'm just trying to pull up their cap space for next season, Carolina.
Yeah.
But I mean, it looks like they should have enough to give them big time money. But the other part that was crazy was that Chicago retains half of fucking Brandon's salary too. And again, all they get is they retain half. They lose Taylor Hall, and all they got was their own 3rd round pick back. Like, I don't know what listen, Taylor Hall's stock is obviously not the same as it was even like 2 years ago. Because last year in Boston, he actually he put up decent numbers again. And he was good in the playoffs too. But I would have thought he could at least get you a 3rd without taking on another fucking $4.5 million in space, but is what it is. But my God, Mikko Rantanen is such a fucking good player, and he is going to fit right in. He already looked. I watched the first period of that game against the Islanders. Shout out Tony DeAngelo for scoring on his own net 5 minutes in, or less than 5 minutes in. I thought he was making a sacrifice to play in Russia so that Trump could win the election. I'm confused. I don't know what he's doing back here.
Trump already won.
I know. I thought like he was making that whatever.
It sounds like it worked, and he's back to rub it in our face.
It's unbelievable. It was like the day after. Just like the next day, he gets fucking signed. It's insane. But God, Rantanen's gonna fit in so well there. He is just Especially as I have to pull up Sveshnikov's numbers.
He's what they've needed, man. And it's crazy because he's such a perfect like hand to glove fit for that team. The bummer is because like if you're Colorado, you are definitely happy bringing in a guy like Necas. But God, it kind of sucks that it's like, oh wait, we got a guy that like Carolina was getting rid of anyways, right? Like he was not long for the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know. It shouldn't impact how I view it, but it does.
Yeah, I also still think though, like, and part of this is just me being very high on Necas in the first place. But it is one of those things where I feel like, especially the last week or so, it was getting very public that like Colorado probably wasn't going to be able to make the money work for Rantanen to the point where like probably most of the league was aware of this.
Yeah.
And at that point, if you can get a Marty Necas, who again, he's young, he gives you the possibility of like legit 2C, and he's putting up really good numbers. He's top 10, top 15 in league scoring this year again. And he's just a fucking awesome player. So like, I think getting Necas again, you're never going to get the same player. Like Mikko Rantanen is the best player in this trade. It is what it is. Right. But Necas is a pretty good piece, especially in Colorado. Again, like just watching that first game, he fit like a glove immediately. So I still think like, yes, losing Rantanen's always going to be terrible. Same time, Necas is a pretty nice like consolation prize. And he's not going to cost the nearly what Rantanen's probably going to end up costing.
Question.
So it kind of not evens out, but right. I mean, it's a good piece to get back for a quote unquote distressed asset, I guess.
Well, especially when he didn't extend as part of the deal. Like
right. Yeah, exactly.
Pretty okay. Yeah. So
because that would color it too, right? Where it was like, no matter what the number was, like if you're a Colorado fan, you justifiably be like, we could have fucking made that work, no matter what. If it was like a sign and trade, right. Or like if he had signed immediately, or if a contract extension was part of the deal,
which they can't. Like, let's be clear,
right? Obviously,
it's like, him or McCarr, and you made the right choice picking McCarr. Sorry, like that's just what it is. But Mikko Rantanen, where does he sit for you in the NHL at large? Is he top 5, top 10, top 20? Like, what tier of player is he?
I mean, he's probably at this point just looking at like his regular season production combined with he's got over 100 points in the playoffs, I think, already, which is ridiculous. I would put him in the top 10 category, I think. Like, I mean, was it 2 years ago? He had 50 and 50. Like, he is just a machine. And no, I know. I was having the same debate with myself earlier today. I was like, is he a top 10? I think he probably is. It's just, especially with the production, is just ridiculous. And like a lot of that does come like anytime you play with McKinnon and you're like, I mean, I think Rantanen was like a top 8 pick, I want to say, in his draft. So like you're already like that level of player, but like playing with McKinnon, you're obviously gonna have a million fucking points. But like watch, like his passing ability is ridiculous. He's the size, he moves as well as he moves at his size. He's fucking physical. He's a prick to play against, like the stereotypical Finn, but a guy that's gonna give you like 100 points year after year. Like I don't think he only puts up 100 points because he's playing with McKinnon. Like he is just legit that good, and his shot is a fucking joke, and he gets it off like.
He plays a heavy game.
The release is insane. Yeah, and he plays a fucking heavy game. Like so he is stereotypical Finn with 100-point upside.
Right. What stirred this though is that Elliot Friedman labeled him as a top 5 to top 10 guy. And I don't think there's a world where you can put him in your top 5. You can't. Like let's workshop this like loosely. Because I don't even think like if I'm actually going to go to the letter player by player. Is he a top 10 type talent? Yes. I think top 15, I wouldn't bat an eye at, but top 10, it's just like you got McDavid, Draisaitl. I don't know. Am I allowed to say Matthews after the comments from Craig Button?
Yeah.
That's what an like, and I know like he doesn't pull his punches. He's a very direct guy, and like Craig Button.
Wild.
But that's such a knee-jerk reaction because this year he's having a tough year. Like, last year, you would have said, like, oh, like Draisaitl's nowhere near him. Like, come on. Like, especially when you look at what he does from a goal scoring perspective on top of what he can do as a two-way player. Like, get out of here with that.
Bananas.
Now, if you want to say that Draisaitl's better, like, cool. I have no problem with that. But to say that they're in like completely separate tiers is just not.
Yeah.
It's like saying that Cale Makar is not a good defenseman because this year his numbers haven't been quite as good. Like Isha's trying to tell me that Quinn Hughes is a better player than Makar, which like this year, yes. If you told me I could have either of them on my team starting next year, I'm taking Makar every time. Are you?
Probably, yeah.
So we got McDavid, Draisaitl, Matthews, McKinnon. Any disagreement so far? Okay. Kucherov's definitely better as a winger. I think there's a couple more centers we could throw in there. I think Cale Makar is a top 5 player in the league. Like there's just a lot of guys that, like, as a winger, he's a top 5 winger, but he's probably number 4 or 5, isn't he?
Just pulling it up.
Like, how do you compare Rantanen and Kaprizov? Is it roughly a tie, or who do you give the edge to?
I'd say it's pretty close. I mean, like, Rantanen's just got the track record so far, and I mean, like, his playoff numbers are ridiculous.
Well, it's hard to have playoff numbers when,
right,
you're in Minnesota.
Just pulling up this number again. Yeah, I mean, I'd say they're probably comfortable. I'd probably lead in like Rantanen right now, maybe. Yeah, oh my God, he's got 101 playoff points in 81 games. That's ridiculous.
That is pretty
fucking. He's so good.
That is fun. Now, again, I think both arguments are true, right? Does some of that come from the guys that he was playing with? Yes. Can he absolutely do a lot of that by himself? Also, yes. But it'll be interesting to see, like, because it's not like a huge downgrade going to play with Sebastian Aho, right? But like, it's different. We'll see how he does.
Yeah. I mean, I guess where I land is somewhere, just to like hedge myself here, it's like 9 to 15.
Yeah, no, I have zero issue with that. I would agree with that.
I think it's also impossible to I've always found myself having tiers. You know what I mean? Where it's just totally. Like, I probably have like 20 guys that I would say, yeah, they're in the top 10 conversation. Well, it's like, well, that math doesn't work. But like,
for sure.
It's just like, it's crazy how many fucking ridiculously good players there are every fucking year now.
Don't just look at counting stats. Which guy would you rather have? Mikko Rantanen or Pasta?
Yeah, probably Rantanen, I guess.
It's a pretty close
though
discussion, right?
Especially the tear fucking Pasternak's on right now. It's insane.
Those two are actually much more similar than the rest.
Like Rantanen and Pasternak?
Yeah, like they don't play the exact same game, but they both give you the same type of upside with their goal scoring. They can both play a heavier game if they really need to. Like both of them can have the wires cross and go psycho.
Yeah, I think Rantanen's always going to give you like significantly more of like that power forward element. And then I do think like Pasternak makes some ridiculous passes, but like Rantanen's is on a whole other level. Like some of the passes he makes are insane. He can do it forehand, backhand, like ridiculous vision. And like Pasternak gives you more of like, I mean, he's just got the fucking bomb from deep, and he flies up and down the ice.
Yeah, but him and Marchand don't like each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so isn't that just too bad? Wouldn't it be so great if they were friends?
Dude, I got a beer I'm drinking right now that'll make you go cross-eyed.
Oh boy.
Called Monkey Bar, and it's an imperial pastry stout with banana, chocolate, peanut butter, and marshmallow.
Oh my God.
It is. There's a lot going on, but I'm not lying. Prize. This is pretty tasty. I can't do more than one, but it is tasty and probably pretty strong. What do we got here? Oh, it's only 11%.
That's it.
Not in the top 10. So
that's outside.
But so Kaprizov then, like it sounds like you're pretty much putting him and Rantanen more or less neck and neck. Does Rantanen's contract have a pretty heavy bearing on where Kaprizov ends up. Like, do you think that they end up in a similar spot? Do you think Kaprizov is going to get more because of just what the Leopold's already come out and said?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, pretty much Kaprizov has a blank check waiting for him. And he's going to be able to, like, put his own number down. They'll say, yes, thank you very much.
Do you think that that's how they should do it, though? And not just because, like, he's earned it, right? But, like, hey, dude, we will give you as much as you think you need. Literally write your number. Just know, like, we can't make magic happen. If you take 20% of our cap, there's going to be other areas that we're going to have to trim to make it work. So literally pick your number. We'll make the rest work. Just know that the number you're picking, we're going to point back at that if you're like, why don't I have a better line mate?
Literally.
Sorry.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I do. And like, it's interesting because like Kaprizov is so fucking competitive. And like, he wears like that guy fucking like every pro athlete hates to lose, but like Kaprizov, it doesn't matter what the score is. He wants to be out there like fucking 3 minutes every shift and like clearly wants to win. Like, so I do think if the Wild were like, hey, we'll give you what you want, just know that if you want fucking 20% of the cap, like that will change pretty much most of this roster. Yeah. And like, not just now, but for those 8 fucking years that you signed that. I do think he is aware. Like, I think he's very happy in Minnesota. Obviously, he's been ridiculous since he's got here. Happy. I do think
he's happy. I don't know about very happy.
Yeah, I haven't asked him. But like, I do think he knows.
If you ask him while he's at Billy Sushi, he'll say very happy.
Yeah. I do think he won't. He's gonna like. Obviously, he's gonna get every like penny he deserves. I still think he's very aware of. If they're like, hey, we'll just keep Zuccarello, we'll keep him around. We'll keep he can be 50 and playing if you're still here. Well, if part of that, if you want to take your cap hit down a little bit below the fucking 20%, we'll just let him have a roster spot forever as long as you're here.
Yeah,
I do think he strikes me as one of those players that will want, obviously, like a very good lineup around him. So I do think I think that's probably the right approach with him, especially just given the fact that like he clearly wants to fucking win.
Dude, that would be the highest viewed video in YouTube history if they just did a stream where it's like, here it is. We are handing the check to Kaprizov and he is going to fill in the number. Tune in.
You do know, like, there's a part of Billy that's like, that would be funny. Could be funny, guys. Could be funny. Leopold's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. I don't care. I've watched that Leopold clip of asking. I know the private jet clip is one of my favorite. Like,
there's more that we'll get into here in a minute, but yes, private jet clip is a good one. But
hey, can I borrow the jet? Yeah. What a ridiculous.
You can have it. You can have it. I've got 5 more. Like
which one? Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, you keep it.
Real quick from a couple of people here chiming in. Horror Docs, the Rantanen trade makes me think, which Wild player could we trade out in a huge trade in the future? That's interesting. Cole says, no shot Colorado is done with trades yet, right? I tend to agree. There is no way they're done because now they have more cap space, unless Landeskog comes back, which is honestly better than a trade, assuming he's actually fully healthy. Do you agree?
I mean, assuming he's fully healthy, sure, but like, that's literally impossible.
that's not doable. Fair. Flyer Voracek, Bowen Byram, and Mikko Rantanen turned into Casey Middlestat, Martin Necas, Jack Drury, a second and a fourth. That hurts a little bit more, put into perspective.
So that's what's I was actually looking at. Oh God, what was I reading earlier? But I went through and I looked at like Bowen Byram's numbers this year, like not just like the counting stats, because I mean I don't really. It's just tough to gauge anything that's going on in Buffalo, obviously. But Bowen Byram in Buffalo has been real fucking good this year. Like his underlying numbers are absurd for a guy playing big minutes in Buffalo. Like very, very impressive.
Well, he's probably not going to stay there, right?
He's already like they've already asked me. He's like, I don't know. I remember the quote was like, I'd like to play somewhere I could be like a number one defenseman, and like there was like 7,000 people were like, me too. Yes, I would also like to be a number one defenseman somewhere. And it was just like really funny. There were so many people on the same page reading the quote. I was like, that's so funny.
The best though would be just people like Chicago Blackhawks account going on and commenting like, we hear you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That'd be really, really good.
Well, part of me watching that fucking Wild Blackhawks. First of all, of course, the second I talk shit, the Wild decide to forget how to play hockey in the third period.
That wasn't good.
That Blackhawks team is unbelievable. That's one of the worst hockey teams I have ever seen in my life. And then I threw up in my mouth a little bit because I was thinking about them potentially getting the first overall pick, taking Matthew Schaefer and having a fucking top pair of Lev Shudov and Schaefer for 20 years, and I wanted to die. It was ridiculous. It was a very, very dark thought, and I had to like lay down. I was like, please do not let this happen to this. Like, please don't let them have. Don't let this happen, please, for the love of God. Like, we're in enough pain, but like. Bedard he was losing his shit 5 minutes into the first period.
He was trying to fight Bogosian.
Well, then Bogosian just decided to abandon play and just like, I'm going to fucking murder Donato. And just started, he was tackling him 15 feet away from the puck as it was going in Minnesota's net. And I still think Bogosian found out and they scored like 3 minutes later. Like he was not aware
like,
wait, it was a goal.
When did they score?
He was like, when the fuck did the ice cream?
That was straight up like Hines goes up to him. He's like, I want you to do your best Klingsberg impression.
He literally stopped.
I just have to find another planet. Got it.
He stopped paying attention at the red line. Like it was an incredible ISO cam. Like the play's going 1,000 miles an hour that way, and he's just like trying to baseball swing Donato on the head. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? There have been a couple of Bogosian plays recently. Bogosian and Merrill have had some incredible fucking ISO cams recently. And like, I don't even get mad because it's so funny. But anyways, that's not what we were talking about.
Okay. Maybe
but last year, I remember when the Middlestat and when that trade happened, like Middlestat came in, was pretty good in Colorado, put up some points right away.
It was
and Byram was a big struggle, right?
Like they didn't need Byram on defense, and they absolutely were desperate for a center.
Yeah, it was like, in theory, potentially Middlestat's going to fill that 2C role. He was like trending the right direction. This year, it's obviously not gone as well whatsoever. But like it looked like it was like this trade will either be like close to a tie, but even like Byram and Buffalo feels redundant when you have Power, Dolly in there already. But this year it's like it's gone the other way. The
definition of Buffalo is redundancy. Everyone in their prospect pool is a redundancy.
It is crazy. Yeah. Like, and now they're talking about trading Power, Cousins, and it's like, Jesus Christ, it's bananas there right now. That Cousins potential trade could be. I wonder how many teams are like, oh, Dylan Cousins potentially available. What are we talking about right now?
Also, how many contract negotiations did he absolutely ruin for the next 2 years?
I know.
All right, look at what that guy's doing. Last piece here as we transition off of the holistic Rantanen talk. If we get through this summer and an extension hasn't been agreed to by Kaprizov, and that Guerin just has no choice, has to make a trade because you can't risk losing him and you want to get, max value, would getting a similar return to what Rantanen just got be completely unacceptable? Or is that like what Wild fans need to brace themselves for should a trade come to pass? And this is assuming that he's not signing an extension as part of it, right? Kind of same scenario as Rantanen. Like he's willing to take the trade, but he's not going to extend.
Right.
Like, how mad are Wild fans? No, not how mad are Wild fans. How mad should they be if we're talking a similar return?
Well, it's tough. It's tough to really, like, when you say like Wild fans being mad. I mean, at this point, it's been made quite clear that like whatever Kaprizov wants to make, he's like gonna get. So like
if he wants to be here,
right? And so at that point, it's like, okay, well then that like hard to fucking get mad at like the front office.
And less about being mad at the front office,
the return,
but mad at like, oh God, this is what we got. Like, really? We got rid of a franchise changing player and this is our return. Like, yeah, less. I mean, they'll find a way to blame Guerin and Leopold, of course. But I do think, like you said, a lot of fans will be able to see through the bullshit and be like, they literally opened the checkbook for him. He said, no, fuck him, you know? Yeah. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just preparing us for the possibility.
Yeah, and it's still tough because, like, again, as I said earlier, I'm a big time Marty Necas fan, and also like
big enough that you like this deal.
Well, I would say again, like it became very apparent in the last like week or so that Rantanen was not going to get the money that he wanted in Colorado. So it was like, I mean, if you're going to get Marty Necas, who's going to cost significantly less and fill that fucking big hole that you have clearly needed since losing Kadri at 2C, it's not like, again, losing Rantanen sucks no matter what the deal is, unless you're getting like fucking Connor McDavid back. Like, that's always going to suck. And it's the same idea with Kaprizov, where it's like, you're losing probably the best player that's ever played in Minnesota. I was going to say probably, like, as if it's a fucking debate.
Hey, Brock Faber.
Sorry, Victor Rask. Shout out Victor Rask episode.
Shout out Victor Rask.
Also Carolina Hurricane legend. But no matter what that trade looks like, you're going to be pissed because, like, you lose Kirill Kaprizov, who is the best player to ever put on a Minnesota Wild sweater. So that sucks no matter what. And I, like, regardless what the return is, like, you're going to get mad at it. So I would, if the return is similar to like a Necas Drury, I would have probably wanted more draft picks. At the same time, I don't really know how many more draft picks they need in the first place. So I don't know. I guess it would be like I would want a top prospect at the very least, plus like.
Give me an example of a prospect that would qualify as a top prospect. Like, I don't care what team, or give me an example of a Wild prospect that would meet that mold, just to like give me a sense of what tier you're talking.
Oh, like a Urov tier, like a top 5 prospect in some other prospect pool.
Okay.
And like
Urov's like top 2 or 3, right? For us, wouldn't you say? I mean, we're going to do a full prospect rundown later in the episode, but I guess that's teasing ahead.
Yeah, or like I'm trying to think outside of Minnesota too. You get your Zach Benson, Ricky.
Don't you fucking tease me, you bastard. Oh, I would take either of them so fast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's
you literally picked 2 of my favorites. Oh, Axel Sandin, Pelika. Here we go.
Yeah, I don't know. It's either way. I think it would. Kirill Kaprizov is best Wild player of all time already. And like, what if, like, let's say that you have to move him, like, it's just not good, that like he's not going to re-sign, like, no matter what the trade is, unless you're getting another top 5 player in the league, you're gonna be fucking pissed. Like, it sucks either way. But again, like, it's always just tough to gauge like this return because I'm a big Marty Necas fan. It very much fills a hole, or it fills that like role that Colorado needed to, and he's going to cost significantly less. And the 18 minutes I've seen so far has me thinking that they may have won the fucking trade. But I don't know. Yeah, it's always tough to gauge though.
Yeah, good point from Ron here. Any trade compensation would be more than they got for Gabrick.
Yeah, that's a good
man.
Point.
Ouch.
That hurt.
Ouch. That's reopening the wounds. Okay. Well, let's transition. We got off the Kaprizov talk. We got 2 Wild things we need to talk about, and maybe we'll go back to Z. Do you want to expand any more on the? Well, we already talked about the Jet thing, so we're just gonna go right into it. Did Craig Leopold just damn the Minnesota Wild, who already have the worst back-to-back schedule for the past 2 years?
It's insane.
Is it destined to be worse? Because Craig Leopold went on a podcast and outed Gary Bettman as being up for retirement in the next couple of years. Is he just going to turn around and be like, buddy, you think it's been tough so far because we retroactively fucked you with those Parisian Suitor contracts that were legal when you signed them, but we're like, you know what? We're going to hurt you. We want to get you. really, we didn't want to hurt you or get you. We just had to get Vancouver for Luongo's contract, and you guys were just, casualties. Sorry. But you think that was bad? Just wait until you see what happens when you say that I'm fucking retiring. I am Gary M.F. Bettman.
He was probably like, your regulars, you will have played 82 games halfway through February next year. That's how many fucking back-to-backs you're getting, motherfucker.
Oh, here's a question that came up, though.
By the way, your cap spent, you have $60 million. That's it. You can only spend 60, bitch.
Like, bro, what else is new? That's what we've been doing for the last couple of years. We're good. So this was an interesting thing that got brought up. I can't remember where I heard it, but it was a very valid question. Actually, it wasn't posed this way, I guess, but here's how I'm going to spin it. What is better for the last Stanley Cup that Bettman is commissioner for? If the fans collectively boo him again, or if that's the one time that he's applauded? Like, what's a better outcome?
I don't know.
It'd
be funny if it was just like crickets. It was just like, all right. That's
no, straight up Mystery Alaska. Everyone just pulls out the newspapers. And
then just like the scene in SpongeBob. Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
Dude, I don't think I ever told you, but like there were a couple of games in high school. Like we were a small school, but our fans were awesome.
Yeah, I know. We did the newspaper thing quite often.
They did that a handful of times. There were a lot of good things. Did you guys have any other like good bits from fans?
I don't off the top of my head, probably I don't think so. I don't think we had that many.
It's crazy because like today you'd never get away with it, but our fans, not this part, but they all would dress in like blaze orange. Like those weren't our colors. That's just what they did. Like they all wore hunting gear.
Never get away with it.
What they wouldn't get away with is all of their chants were like, have you heard the chants for like spelling out sex, spelling out orgy, spelling out like stuff like that? It's like, give me an S. And like sex is score.
Yeah.
Then orgy, you get to the end, it's like teamwork. They did all of that and no one cared. And like literally probably like 3 years later, you would get kicked out of the building immediately.
Oh yeah, no, not that remind. We did have I'm not even gonna go. Yeah, no, there were a couple. There were a couple in that exact same realm. Where it was just like, I don't even know why we're saying this, but like, kind of funny. I was like, yeah, it's like, I don't even know if it's that funny, but like, kind of for like 2 seconds. It's like the chant's done. You're like, all right, now what?
Oh man, it's a bummer. We tried really hard to do. Have you ever seen the button celebration?
I don't think so.
So our fans did not understand it at all. So we just like gave up on it and just let them do what they wanted to do. But the idea is you hold up this big board that has like a big, just like red button that's like drawn on and it's like press here. And the idea is you score a goal and the whole student section is supposed to like do nothing until the guy that scores a goal goes over there and hits the button and they just lose their minds. We'd score and they just go nuts right away. And then someone would still go over and hit the button to appease them and they'd maybe cheer a little bit louder, but like they did not grasp the concept.
Like, yeah. Oh.
He touched it.
Oh, fuck. I'm already at an 11.
He's already pulled over. He can't pull over any further.
Another good one.
There's the meme for the episode, Mateo. Do what you will with it. Oh man. I don't know where the heck we were going with that, but yeah, Leopold, you messed up, buddy. We are probably screwed forever.
But also love you for that.
They're gonna send. So this is actually funny because it goes off of something that Russo said, like jokingly, but I also think like, wow, it could work. He mentioned something about Winnipeg relocating to Arizona, which would be way too funny. Also traumatic for Ava and all of the other Winnipeg faithful up there. But dude, imagine Gary Bettman's response is like, all right, Leopold, you want to keep being an owner? You guys are going to Houston. Both Minnesota teams end up in Texas.
He's just furious with him. He's just furious. He's like, I'm gonna ruin 90% of the population of your state's life.
Ron, you son of a gun. Bettman will retire once he gives the Blackhawks another first overall.
They're gonna fucking get. They're gonna get.
I thought they were getting Celebrini. I was so convinced.
I mean, they're gonna get. Oh God, the fact they're gonna end up with Schaefer or Higgins or Martone or Misa makes me. I mean, I just can't handle it.
What a Simpsons side swing from Cosgrove. I was saying boo Etman. Boo Earns, baby. I love it.
Yeah, I like that one. That was good.
Oh man. All right. Other thing we gotta talk about. What's the deal with Rossi's contract? Like, there's so much going around, and like, depending on the day, you'll get completely different reaction from fans on whether he should be traded, kept, what he's worth. Do we do short term, bridge?
Well, I haven't seen the. I haven't seen any of the. Again, I don't scroll Twitter anymore. I just pretty much any Rossi tweets that I see are either from like our 5 friends, Russo, or people replying to me when I tweet out a video of him scoring or assisting on a goal, which is like him on 70% of the Wild goals this season at this point. But I mean, just real quick, another 3 assists the other night. He has surpassed his total from last year, both points and assists. Like, just given the fact that like they didn't make big moves outside of Trenyan, who got fucking scratched. The fact that like we were like the one guy that if he could take a step forward, Rossi, that's going to be like an addition of itself. He's like far surpassed that, and at this point, like,
love him.
I'm really hoping, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. Really hoping they're not like, yeah, but like, you know, it's all right. Like when Yurov comes over, he's the center because like he's basically playing wing exclusively right now in Russia. And
now is that a Russia
don't tell Baki, but his face-off numbers have been brutal.
Yeah,
Baki,
watching out.
Great. No, looks great.
No, but is it a Russia thing that he's playing wing, or like was he not playing well at center, so he got moved to wing?
No, he's fluctuating back and forth, but he's playing a lot better on the wing, like scoring more goals and just involved more offense. He's been mostly because he's been on the wing. I'll bring it up when we do the full-on roundup, but like his shot totals right now are fucking bananas. Like I was looking earlier at the last like couple games. It's like 7 shots on goal, 14 shot attempts. I'm like, oh my God, he's just gripping it and ripping it. And it's like Metalurg's kind of an average team this year after winning it all last year. So I don't know. He's just like, give me the fucking pill, fucking ripping it. But like, I don't even know what to think with the Ross thing anymore because like, I don't know, like you were mentioning before we went live here, what Russo said.
Yeah, I can reiterate that. And again, this is paraphrasing for sure, but essentially said like, you know, at this point, if Rossi would accept a 7-by-7, the Minnesota Wild would agree immediately and 10 minutes later hold the press conference. Like, that was weird to me because that's very different from the tenor of like a month ago. And nothing's really changed. He's just kept doing what he's been doing.
What, if not just getting better, where like, you know, at the start of the year, he would do something. He had like one bad shift and Hines would like bench him for 6 minutes. And then the next shift, he would go out there and like tie the game up with 2 minutes left or like assist, or he's factoring in somehow, some way. And it's just like, you know, there's the comments, but they're not ready to like commit long-term. And then after a while, like he's just been so fucking consistently good. Like, I mean, again, I think there's probably been 3 or 4 games maybe this year where like, he had an off night, like in totality. But like, he is one of the big reasons that despite them losing half of the roster at one point this year, they were still like winning games, or in games they're losing, they were competing and still scoring because of him. And like, especially when Boldy has not been the same Matt Boldy that like, especially the start of this year, but like just historically since he's come into the NHL. But Marco Rossi has just continued to score. Like, he's played on different lines. He's been used in different situations, and he's just been producing. So at this point, like, yeah, I don't really know what more they need to see to feel comfortable about going long term, unless, again, like, this is another thing we were saying before we went live, like, they have a good idea of either like a player they want to target or the mold of a player they want to target, and like a 5'9" center who's not the most fleet of foot isn't on the top of their list. Like, again, he plays like he's fucking 6'2". I love when he just decides to get into scrums. It's so funny when he just decides to like piss everyone off. Like, again, the Matthew Tkachuk thing where he rolls his eyes as he's getting punched in the back of the head. It's so funny. Like, this is just when he is at his, like, especially the OHL, he was doing that shit every fucking night. But like, he's just under a point per game at this point. He's surpassed his assist and point total from last year. He's trending. He's like on pace for 30 goals. Like, he is a top 6 center in the NHL right now. And if you can get him, if it's true that like if they could get him on a 7x7, they would do it immediately. Like, yeah, I would also do that right now.
But the biggest thing with the whole Rossi situation is, what's his fit? Because it's not even as simple as who's in the pipeline, right? Like, it's the worst kept secret in the league right now that Brock Nelson's probably signing here this summer. Like, that's probably happening. Brock Nelson plus Ek plus Rossi. Those are 3 guys that all probably profile as being a second or third line center. Do you think that Rossi has done enough to say, I am absolutely a 1C and can go toe to toe with other 1Cs if we're going to be?
I still think he's a 2. I still think like he's a 2.
So if they bring in
7x7, especially now, like that's a 2C contract.
Sure, but they bring in Nelson, keep Ek. What does that end up looking like?
I don't even know how they. Yeah, I mean, there you go. So I guess at that point,
I'm asking,
which is nuts. That's a bad idea. Like, it's a terrible idea.
But the problem is, Z, I don't even disagree with you. It's Brock Nelson is through and through a Bill Guerin guy. Like, that is to a T the kind of player that he loves, and I think he's a great player. Is he worth a long-term deal, which he's going to command? Like, I was talking to Joe about it earlier today when we were recording at the X, and he flat out was like, yeah, like, maybe I'd give him 4 years. I'm like, you think he's signing for 4 years? You're fucking crazy.
Well,
like, I mean, yeah, probably.
At the start of next season, he's 34 years old.
No, he's not.
Brock Nelson?
Brock Nelson? No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He turns 30. He turns 34 on October 15th.
How? How is that possible? He was the same class as you, dude.
No, he's not.
We established you're the same age as my brother Anisha, right?
No.
Oh, you're younger?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, he's their age, and 33 is... Wait, what the heck?
I'm telling you, he's turning 34 at the start of next season.
Maybe Warroad has, like, weird school practices, because, like, dude, he played against my brother. That math doesn't work for me, but that's what it says on the internet, and if it's on the internet, it's fucking true. That's all we know.
Yeah. So, again,
weird.
like...
So
that's what's really weird to me about, like,
and is he gonna want a pay increase from the $6 million that he's getting now?
I don't know. He's not trending like a fucking. That's why I was like, that would be a crazy thing. Like, if it's like, especially if a Rossi trade, which again, I don't think they actually want at this point. I don't think they want to trade him. I think at the start of the year it was like, yeah, we don't really know because he doesn't look like your prototypical fucking like 1 or 2C.
Let's be real. They still want to trade him. They can't.
They can't.
Yeah. They don't have a choice now. Like, fans would lose their collective. I would be mad. I'd be mad.
It would be fucking insane if
Rossi for Cousins.
The buyouts are done a bunch of those top prospects make the NHL next season, but then they move out the fucking one top 6 center, like out and out top 6 center that they drafted in the top 10
ever
in order to sign a 34-year-old from Minnesota, just because he's from Minnesota. He's gonna put up 20 goals like for 2 or 3 more years. And they're like, well, we had to do it. So again, I just don't think that makes any sense. And again, like let's say they somehow make the money work and Brock Nelson's here next year. Yeah. Eriksson Ek still can be a 3C and be just as effective. Because I mean,
right. But the argument is who's the 1C?
At that point, like we've seen Rossi play with Kaprizov.
But can you contend with that? Is the question. I'm not saying whether we can or can't.
Yeah, probably because like Kaprizov's the one driving the offense on that. Like he's one of those players on the wing that can drive offense.
He's the de facto.
Right,
like
it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Take draws, yeah.
Since, I mean,
you be careful here.
Probably since 2017, 2018, it's been the same thing with David Pastrnak in Boston, where it's like, yeah, Patrice Bergeron put up good points with him, but like David Pastrnak is the primary driver of offense from the wing, and he definitely is right now. But that was on a team that was challenging for cups.
I was worried you were going to say the wrong fucking name.
No.
You know, okay.
Yeah, I do.
If you fucking,
I would never do that.
I would. This show would be over. Not today, like forever.
We were done.
Braden Point is a national treasure. Okay, well we've. Well,
you know, we're now. We haven't even done the roundup.
Yeah, the rails have been left long behind us. Yeah, that's right. Grab a refill. Hurry. Hooray. Oh man. Well, yes. I guess that's all we have here. I didn't see anything. If there's any particular
there was one. Did you see the trade today of Scott Perunovich to the Islanders? For a fifth?
What?
Yeah.
But he's Minnesotan. Why didn't the Wild trade for him?
I was just as confused. I heard that Gabe Perreault had friends in Minnesota. I can't believe they didn't draft him. Yeah, it was a 4th or a 5th. I can't remember. But I saw that today. I was like, that was the one thing that actually distracted me from fucking reading thousands of pages about it. I was like,
no, you were like so deep into your Flappy Birds thing that, yeah. And then all of a sudden that came up. You're like, all right, that's my excuse.
It's like, all right. Now I can take a second.
All right, Chad Gale on the Kaprizov thing. The great thing about Kaprizov is he plays great on both ends. 97 sets up plays. He wins majority of the board battles. Very hard to knock off the puck. Good speed, great hands, and shot. Chad Gale, this is a burner account for Kaprizov's agent, I think. No, but it's well put. Can't Rossi get offer sheeted? I don't think so. Isn't he outside of that like qualification status for a certain reason? Or maybe not.
If I knew how to fucking work Puckpedia, I'd tell you.
If he gets offer sheeted, all right, we got to address this real quick just while it's up here. Let me see. What is because Cap Friendly is where I would have gone before. I'm just going to see what happens. Offer sheet compensation NHL. Oh boy.
Tell you what, though, the one really cool thing that Puckpedia has, if you pull up a player's profile, it tells you what stick they use.
That's cool. I like that. Wait, would it do that if it was like throwback to Crosby where he didn't want to use a Reebok stick, but he was sponsored by Reebok, so he just had the blacked out stick? Would it say blacked out stick, or would it actually tell us which stick it is?
Would it know?
Austin Matthews, goalie stick.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, fuck.
All right. Based on what I'm seeing here, so let's just say Rossi was offer sheeted in the threshold we were talking about there, $7 million. He would return us a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd from the team that offer sheeted him. Do you accept that, or does that bother you?
That bothered me. Yeah, no thanks.
And so 7 is like at the bottom of the threshold. It's 6.87 up to 9.16. So let's say it was an $8 million offer sheet. like if you're Bill Guerin, are you matching $8 million or are you saying I'll take the picks? It's tough. It's not designed to be an easy question. If it's below that 6.87, you're absolutely just matching and moving on with your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more, I guess, but
the 8 to 9 million range is where it gets a lot hairier.
Right. And I don't know how many teams would do that either way.
Oh, there's teams that would. There's teams that need centers.
Well, yeah. The
Boston Birds. It'd be awesome if it was Columbus and then Dean's still like, no.
Dean's like, great. You're going to be great in Cleveland.
How awesome is it, though, that like Columbus has been the feel-good story this year?
Dude, and they're so fun to watch. What Zach Werenski's doing right now, too, is absurd.
Dude, how about
Marchenko?
Hang on. How about the free game for Fantilli putting up the Hattie?
That was incredible. Big fan.
You're familiar with the term, right? I don't know if all of our listeners are with what the free game is.
Yeah.
So the free game, essentially, he went home to play in Toronto, where he's from. The free game basically means he's spending his entire paycheck to give as many people tickets as possible.
Yeah, how many did they say that he ended up fucking?
It wasn't 100, but it was more than 50.
Which is,
I think it was 70 something, and he gets the fucking hat trick, dude. That's so cool.
Exactly why I don't have many friends. You know, that situation, I wanted to avoid that. Just why isolated.
Dude, next
crisis of
Monday, Joe's in Boston. Speaking of no friends, so just a heads up. He said that he was gonna try to do some kind of like boldy story with some of the family, and immediately Ish is like, "Yeah, he's got an interesting aunt."
Sure does. Dude, that fucking his
Shout out Boldy's aunt, by the way. Probably the biggest Spoke Z super fan.
I don't know if we were supposed to mention it.
We didn't say a name. He has a lot of aunts.
It's true. Dude, that fucking Boldy family section at he and Rossi's NHL debut. I was literally the next section over. It was fucking insane.
So fun.
It's so funny. They were out of control, and there was like 40 of them. It was nuts, dude. But anyways, man.
We love that. All right, then I guess we're in a spot where we should just like hard pivot transition. We are doing a prospect rundown. It is long overdue. Z, I'm more or less going to pass the reins to you. You kind of gave me the outline for the order we want to go in, so I'm just going to blanket open it up to you. Where do we want to start within the CHL?
Yeah, I mean, historically, when I was doing this every week, when it was just me and pretty much I was like, Roundup every week. We'd always go OHL to start real quick. Stevie Lescovar is back healthy again and fresh off his suspension. No points in these 3 games. He got in his first fight. It was another big boy that he went toe to toe with, and he ate a couple bombs and then got up and continued laughing in the guy's face. And I was like, I don't know if you should be laughing, but that's psychotic. And I also, if you Google,
I love the visual.
I need people to Google image Stevie Lescovar and just see the pic that comes up from Dev Camp. I'm guessing he looks like an actual axe murderer.
Shot.
No, it's like axe murderer. Like, it's a scary picture. And that's how he plays too. Again, I love the fact that
Are you talking the interview or just like his like, hey, we need your shot?
No, like it's the one picture he's got in the Wild, so I'm guessing it was from Dev Camp.
Yep.
It's the headshot. It's fucking crazy.
Hang on, I'm gonna just make that additional thumbnail here for you real quick.
It is
overlay.
Like, it is legitimate.
Same difference.
It's actual axe murderer. Like, it's terrifying photo. I mean, just like don't want to walk by that guy on the street. And that's how he plays too. And I mean, like right now he plays in Brampton with a guy named Porter Martone. Ever heard of him? They're a little bit of a funk right now. But I mean, yeah, not much to talk about there. He's playing limited minutes, hitting everything that moves, gets in his second fight of the year.
Isha's favorite prospect in his second favorite league behind the queue. So he needs his fair due. Hang on, it's uploading. Here it comes. Tell me again how crazy of a person Stevie Lescovar is. Like he's looking through the door. It's The Shining. Red rum.
Clean shaven deliverance vibe, you know?
I've still got the one on here that I did for Uzi that it's a little, we'll say it's a little haunting. But it's Malkin plus Logan.
Oh my God, that one really, that fucked me up. I can't have that again. I can't. Like, I hate how realistic it looks. I mean,
the face works. He's on IR. We're not going to talk about the Penguins today because I just don't have the brain capacity for it. But all right. So is that it for OHL? Is that our only guy there since
he's the only one there?
One Rasmus Kumpalainen decided he was too good for it.
Yeah, we can move right on over to the WHL. First
hang on. Don't forget about Isha's favorite league, the QMJHL.
Where there are 0 Minnesota Wild prospects.
All right, moving on to the WHL. United there. Hey, it's more fun if you do it before WHL instead of after WHL, just being like, there's no one. Okay.
Yeah, true. Kalen Parker in Calgary. Calgary just got Yakimchuk back as well. They're on a heater right now. They're second in their division right behind Medicine Hat and Ryan Ritchie. But 3 games this week for Kalen Parker. He went off in that first one in his return to Moose Jaw, put up a goal and an assist. He's just playing, especially when Yakimchuk went out. He was obviously their go-to right shot D-man. He's such a good player, the power play, but he defends off the rush really well. He's physical. He kind of just gives you a little bit of everything. So again, like, there's so many defensemen in Minnesota's pipeline, and then you just look at the fact that they've already got like young players like Faber here. They just signed Jurasek, who looks incredible. Big fan of Juracek.
Why is he in Iowa?
Because I'm wrong.
That's purely a salary cap thing. I just know there's a lot of fans who are like very confused by it, which everyone stay tuned. Wednesday we drop interview with David Juracek on Fellowship of the Rink. Awesome guy. English has come a long way. There's still a couple spots where like you can tell he had to like stop and like process because we probably should have simplified our questions a little bit, but like awesome dude. And like we have it under pretty good authority that he was told right before we interviewed him that he was being sent down. He was still like a super like good sport and like good time to have on. So definitely check it out. Awesome guy. And he is absolutely, I'll go as far as to say absolutely, Z. He is absolutely top 6 next year.
He's got to be.
But it's between him and Buyam, isn't it? Kind of.
What do you mean?
Ain't no way that Bogosian's not part of the top 6. And we've got our top 4 solidified unless there's a trade that I don't know is happening.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
So we'll save it for NCAA. Continue.
Yeah. By the way, Kalen Parker, again, just another one of the like these players in the pipeline on the back end where it's like we get to a certain point where there's like 2, 3, 4 guys maybe in this prospect pool that are defensemen who like are going to be competing eventually for a spot. But like that's the beauty of having such a deep prospect pipeline. It's like you give them time to develop and play in like over time. Like you don't have to force their way into the lineup. You have
you just packed them all for develop. A Rantanen trade.
That's it. Exactly. But again, like Kalen Parker, I'm just a big fan of his game. He's really fun to watch. Kind of just does everything really well. He's got a great shot. Quarterbacks and power play really well, especially in Calgary when Yakimchuk went out. And now he's back and he's still playing really well. He's playing well as a complementary role, but also really solid shutdown D, especially. And like when Yakimchuk was out, I think I tracked him. He was like 27, 28 minutes a night. And he's just like on the ice the whole game. But he's just a fun player to watch. Again, probably a long shot to like eventually be a full-time Wild player just in general. But he's having another really solid season WHL, even though he got traded again. So he's got 27 points now in 43 games. But he's just a fun player to watch. I'm a big Kalen Parker fan. And like, I think it's always interesting, like when there's a player who gets traded like more than once in like junior hockey, it's always interesting when it's like their current and ex-coach will always bring them up in interviews and like make a point to comment on those players. They're like, hey, it's either like we really fucking miss having this guy, or like getting this player was a blessing. And like he has just complimented that back end in Calgary, they're going to be competing potentially for a Mem Cup here. But I mean, they're very, very, very high on him. He's been incredible since getting to Calgary. So it was worth at least dedicating a couple minutes to Kalen Parker.
Yeah, he'll probably get traded like 3 more times before he's got Iowa.
Yeah,
good that like, because like you could view it either way. Like, is it he's getting moved because like teams are giving him? Like, no, teams are going after him and like targeting him as someone that they want to add to their blue line.
Well, yeah, and like along with that too, like we've seen when teams in the CHL, like in all 3 leagues, like they load up. And the trades are insane, where it's like one guy goes, like a top player goes, and there's like 14 draft picks attached to the trade. So it's like you look at, so Kalen Parker goes to Moose Jaw from Victoria last year. This year, Victoria's in first or second place in their division. He goes to Moose Jaw. They win a Mem Cup. Everyone is out, or in the NHL. They are second to last place in front of Red Deer in their division. Everyone gets traded out of there. And like Calgary, who struggled last year, they make big moves. They bring in guys like Axel Hertig, Kalen Parker, and a couple other players, a couple other 25 draft eligibles who are real good, like Ben Kendall, we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember if we did the draft or Iowa last week, but either way, now they're competing for first place in like potential Mem Cup team. So it's just crazy, like the volatility year after year in junior hockey, especially given those trades, it's crazy. So like again, where Kalen Parker started when they drafted him, Victoria is now at first or second place in their division. So this is how it goes.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, no, they're very, very fucking good.
Funny side tangent. I got a text from Laura just saying Logan can hear you every time you laugh, and he immediately starts laughing too. Dude's rock.
Hell yeah. Dude's rock.
There's a lot more WHL guys to hit on, and we've got at least last week when we talked, Ryder Ritchie's been on the rise.
He's continuing his heater. 3 games this week. In a 10-4 win versus Regina, he put up 2 goals. Next night against Spokane, who's a really good team as well, 2 assists. So 4 points in 3 games this week. He is just lighting it up. He's over a point per game at this point, and like he is he's got an even 17 and 17 goals and assists.
Yeah.
And again, they're doing this without guys like Caden Lindstrom. They also went out and made some big moves. They bring in Tanner Melendijk from, where was he before? Edmonton? No. Saskatoon. But they also made some big moves.
Oh, sure. You're basically a Minnesota fan.
But I mean, he's just doing it like goals and assists. He's so fun to fucking watch. Off the rush, he is just like a force to be reckoned with. He is just making guys look silly. And also like has that edge to him. Like I love seeing him kind of like snap and just light someone up on his way to the net too. It's great. And then that video from like Ozzy Weisblatt's draft year came up. There was like he got drafted like 4 or 5 fucking years ago, and he made his NHL debut he got traded to Nashville in the offseason. But like one of his brothers is Oasis, who is like in the video in Ozzy's draft year. Like he's like 14. But Oasis Weisblatt is a lunatic. WHL, he's like, I think he's their captain now, but like he fights almost every night. He's a point per game, but in the video of Ozzy Weisblatt, when they're talking about the family, Like he's like super young. He just looks like a cherub. And now he's just running around. Like he fights Yakimchuk almost every time they play, and like handles him. It's fucking bananas. But like I just every time I watch Medicine Hat, I just laugh. It's just like I just shut my water bottle. It's just funny because it's like in the video of Ozzy Weisblatt's drafted where they're like it's a really heartfelt video about the Weisblatt family, and he's like just like cheering his brothers on WHL, and now he's just running around kicking the shit out of everyone and scoring goals. It's great. So every time I watch Medicine Hat, I just laugh. But back to Ryder Ritchie, he looks so fucking good. It is crazy how like the first 7-8 games he was really struggling, takes a skate to the face, gets injured, misses a ton of time, immediately comes back and just lights it up. But Medicine Hat looks real good there in first place. They put up, I think they've had like 3 or 4 games this year. They've scored 10 goals. Like they are lighting up the score sheet almost every night. Very fun to watch, but Ryder Ritchie's been a big part of that offense. He's been great, plays a lot with Gavin McKenna, which is always fun.
It's definitely an okay place to be.
But yeah, no, he's I think since he's come back, he's probably gone maybe 3 or 4 games where he hasn't registered a point.
Yeah, Isha asked me the other day, just because like he's very set in his ways of like right around March 1st is when like he dials in and starts figuring out the next draft. So he's like, yeah, so McKenna, he's looking good. He's this draft, right? I'm like, no, dude, he's another year. He's like, holy shit.
That boy's a
it just like puts into perspective how good McKenna is.
Mm-hmm.
You know? All right, next guy up. I mean, it's been so long since we've talked about him, and it feels like we almost take him for granted at this point. What the hell is happening with Riley Heidt?
Yeah. Prince George
is he stuck now, or
yeah, he's awful. He's got 54 points in 37 games this year. He's terrible.
He still might be my favorite prospect interview, not like necessarily because he's like the best interview, but just like there's something about him where he like is the nicest, like good old boy. Like you can tell he's like the Stalls, like just like comes from like, you know, it gives you the vibe of coming from a farm family. But at the same time, there's like just a quiet confidence. Like he's not arrogant. He's just like, no, I know I'm good. We're good.
It's like cocky professionalism, you know? Like it's just like, yeah, no, I'm here to do business.
But he's like a super down to earth, but knows exactly how good he is kind of guy.
Still can pump the hell out of a celly. Just A+ celebrations every time he scores. It's great.
Did I tell you what Matthew Wood said to us? It crushed my soul. So we did our on-site interview with them, which anyone that hasn't checked it out,
cool. That was a cool fucking interview. Yeah.
Very fun sitting down with him, Oliver Moore, and Brody Zemer before World Juniors, which like fuck Team Canada. They got what they deserve for not bringing him in. Anyways, that's beside the point. We were just talking to him after the fact. I'm like, oh man, so like you're gonna be our pipeline to get Canadians to the U, huh? Like it would have been really cool if like they could have been eligible this past August instead of this next one, so that Riley Heidt could have come and played here. He's like, oh dude, yeah, I know Heidt well. I could have gotten him here. I'm like, don't tell me that. No, don't say that.
What you just said fills me with rage,
dude. If he played for the Gophers, I don't even know what I would do.
Yeah.
I would
think about him playing college hockey is comical.
He would destroy everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did it cost? Everything.
Yeah.
But dude. He's not my number one prospect. He's my favorite prospect.
I mean, he's just fucking yeah. He's just like the thing with Riley Heidt is there's just like a variety of outcomes, like a potential outcomes for him.
Sure.
In the NHL, and I still think, regardless of what that outcome is,
do you see a world where he's not in the NHL?
No, I think he's too smart. He gives you too much value two-way. He can play center. He can play wing. He's got a really good shot. He's a really good playmaker. Like he kind of just checks so many boxes that
so
like
floor second or third line?
What?
What's his floor? Second or third?
Oh, third.
Okay.
Because I mean, like, again, we'll see. It's always tough to gauge those players too. Like before they get any the preseason. I think expectations were just far too high, which is always going to happen when a guy just lights up top 5 scoring in their league. And like, every year it feels like one prospect seems to like have a really strong preseason. I think so. A lot of people are probably pretty, and especially him too, where it's like he somehow was the last pick of the second round when he definitely should have gone like top 25.
Not top. You had him ranked 29, I think. But still, that's a far cry from 62.
Right. Yeah. It's fucking bananas still to me.
People should know that, Z, I think you had like one spot apart. I think you had Stramel 30 and Height 31 in our, like, it was like maybe a month before the draft, but we did like a full rundown of like, what is your first round projection? They were right next to each other. We got them both. And Gabe Perreault's going to be a bust, so who cares?
Obviously.
Who do you feel like it behooves Washington to figure out what it takes to get him away from New York?
I mean, like trying to make a move for Gabe Perreault?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think if they would, I'm sure they would love to.
I'm saying, do you like?
But I don't think it's necessarily something where it's like we're really worried about him when he gets to New York. When I tell you, Ryan Leonard, I love how this started with us talking. We went like for 4 seconds, maybe on Riley Height. Like
somehow we're off on college. Yeah.
What Ryan Leonard is doing right now at BC is insane. Like
Jeff Merrick is mad that he's still playing college hockey.
It is nuts. He is legitimately like too good for college hockey right now. Like what he just did to BU this weekend was devastating. He picked up the puck. I think it was the second game. Yeah, I think it was Saturday. It was like 12 seconds in. And I forget which, I might have been fucking Willander that he danced out of his shoes 15 seconds into the game and just put one on a tee backdoor for, I don't think it was Perreault. He may have scored him fucking self. I don't even remember. But like it was just like, oh my God. He is unfucking believable. He's putting up ridiculous points and he is killing guys every fucking game. He is a terrifying college hockey player. Like he is scary. Like he can literally do everything. It's unbelievable. Like he doesn't really have one shift where you don't notice him. Either he is lighting someone up, he's making someone look stupid, or he's scoring a goal, or both. Like I mean, or
here's
like
my question though for
it's
you.
unbelievable.
I think it helps put it into perspective though. What would Will Smith be doing if he was still at BC?
Putting up ridiculous points.
Like my point is, like, did Leonard overstay his welcome in college? Like, should he be in the NHL like Jeff Merrick will tell you every week that he comes up? Or like where do you fit? Because like a good example is Jimmy Snuggerud, right? Like the Blues wanted him to come. He could have gone, but the way his season went last year, like you can understand where there was still something to prove and to be gained from this year. Not just like running it back because he like cares about the Gophers. Like obviously it's a family thing for him, but he's grown his game this year. He has. Do you feel like Ryan Leonard is benefiting from another year of college hockey, or do you feel like he should be in the NHL?
No, I think he's still benefiting. He's the man right now. Like last year it was
so he's benefiting off the ice. I got you.
Oh. Jesus. But like last year, I mean, like this year too, like BC, their fucking recruiting classes last 3 years have been, I mean, out fucking outrageous. But there were so many nights where it was like, because of how good BC was and still is, obviously, but like there were so many guys that could individually take games over. And like there definitely are this year still because they're that good. But like it's every night Ryan Leonard is the most noticeable player on the ice every single game that BC plays. And he's just given the fact that like Will Smith isn't there. And who else? They had a couple other guys. God, this gonna really piss me off. the top of my head. But like his puck touches are way up. He's trying even more skilled plays than he was last year. Like there were plenty of plays last year where like it was him being a premier power forward, like just killing guys and showing a little bit of skill. But like he is mixing up his offensive toolkit this year, where he's just like one of the more unpredictable forwards in the league, or in whatever college hockey. So I guess you can't say league, I guess. But like what he is doing at BC, I still think, given how like prominent of a role he's playing this year, and he is the go-to guy every single night at BC, who might be, I mean, they're number one in the country. I think they took over.
I didn't see what today's CHO was. They were before the weekend.
I mean, they beat the shit out of BU on Friday, and then
I didn't know with Michigan State sweeping Minnesota if that would
on Friday. We'll talk about the fucking Friday.
That was shit. That fucking sucked, dude. But all right, so we can move on from Ryan Leonard. He's obviously good. We all know this. Riley Heidt. Anything more that needs to be said about him, or is he just exactly who we think he is, and he's unfortunately stuck in the WHL when he should either be playing college or AHL?
Yeah, I really fucking hate the CHL NHL agreement thing where like they can't go play in the A. But at the same time, Prince George this year, it's a very different team. Like they were pretty dominant in stretches. Like right now, they're on a fucking cold streak. They're fifth in their division right now in the Western Conference. I think they've won once in their last 10 games. And it's really interesting, like, he's still putting up a ton of points, like, on a nightly basis. But he's, like, his physical game has taken another step forward, where I think, like, he's fought 2 or 3 times in the last 5 games. Like, he unlocked that, like, fuck you element to his game, where he's pissed that they're fucking losing. And I mean, he must be averaging like 8, 9, 10 hits a game. Like you can see how frustrated he is with losing. And again, he's like fighting. He is extremely noticeable still. And again, I'll pull up the actual points again on my little sheet here. He's got 54 points in 37 games.
Pussy.
Yeah, he is just so fun to watch, dude. But yeah, no, right now he's given the fact that like Prince George didn't make a ton of big moves at all. For Mem Cup run here. They're fifth in their division, which is not where they've been the last 3, 4, 5 years. He's definitely unlocked another element to his physical game. But he's still putting up some legit points. And like on Friday, they win 3-2 versus a solid Brandon team. He's got 2 assists in that one. And Baki Love, he's winning a ton of faceoffs. So there you go.
Hey, here we go. Shout out, by the way, MNW Prospects on Twitter, MNW Young Guns on Facebook, I think. Maybe I got that backwards. You can find them either way. Like, they are definitely in the heat of the season and covering the team extremely well, the team's prospects, whatever. So please give them a follow wherever. Am I correct? Is Chase Wutzke the only guy left for the WHL/CHL as a whole?
Yes, and guess what? They finally won a fucking game. They went, I pulled it up, I think they went 15 games without a win. And I talked about this, again, either last week or 2 weeks ago, or every week, because I feel like I just have to bring it up. He is, like, they will lose by 4, and he will be second or third star of the game almost every single time, because they just, like, the amount of shots that he's taken. I actually have the numbers, but they finally won. They beat Moose Jaw in a 5-1 win, and they actually like suppressed them to 22 shots. He made 21 saves, and then of course the next night they throw him right back in against Calgary. They lose 6-1, and he still made 30 saves. Like the poor fucking kid. Again, he's 13, 23, and 1 because they do the shootout and overtime losses separately, or wins separately. But he still has an 896 and under a 4, which is like for WHL on a terrible fucking team. That's unbelievably impressive. But he's faced 1,257 shots in 40 games this year, which is just like, it's absurd how much volume, the shot volume that they just eat is insane. But he's just been solid, even like when you look at like goaltending numbers in general. And even now, though, like I feel like even the NHL, like a good save percentage is like 908, 910. And like you're like probably like not pissed about it. But like in junior hockey, anywhere near a 9 is pretty good. And he's still got an 896. He's won 13 of their 16 wins. It's from Chase Whiskey. And he plays almost every night. Like, it's unbelievable. They played 46 games. He's played 40. He's played 40.
Dang.
It's just crazy how many fucking like shots against they have every fucking night.
Yeah.
And he just is eating pucks. But they finally got a win, thanks to him. So shout out Chase Whiskey with at least mentioning that they finally won a fucking game. Again, I think it was their first win in 15 games.
Oh man, shout out Chase Woodsky. So now we move on to NCAA hockey, and let's talk the can we call him anything beyond champion when you've got 2 World Junior Golds and an NCAA championship, maybe another NCAA championship on the horizon? What a freaking year it's been for Zeev Buium.
Yep. So he is amongst defensemen in the NCAA. He has the second most points with 25, tied with Sam Rinzel. He's played 6 fewer games than Sam Rinzel. And no
Sam Rinzel. Bad talk on here.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's played fewer games than everyone, and he is only 1 point behind.
All you said is he's played fewer than Sam Rinzel.
That's all I said. That's it.
Skaky.
Number 1 scoring D-man in the country is Mac Godowski at Army, who has 26 points in 26 games. Fun fact. But Zeev Buium, he's playing 25 minutes a night. He is all over the score sheet. Denver's in a really weird place right now where, like, I think they started like what, 15-0.
I mean, they lost to UNLV. What else is there to say?
And they lost to Duluth this weekend. They went 1-1 against Duluth. Pionk had a talk about him.
Shout out.
But I mean, like, dude, 22 games, 25 points, playing 25 minutes a night. Like, he's unbelievable. Again,
but can we be honest though that like anyone that expects him to just be the copy paste of Brock Faber at the end of this season, like, let's pump the brakes. He could be that. He could. The leading assumption is that he will not be. He is a year, technically 2 years younger almost than Faber was when he made the jump, because Buium came in early. And it's a different style of game. Like, yes, he is dynamic offensively and defensively, but Brock Faber was a stalwart defensively, and he came in and made an impact right away. As a younger guy who like has a more dynamic offensive game, it's gonna be harder to come in and make that lasting impact, especially, let's be real, it's not just on Zeev with where he's at, it's also the salary cap position the Minnesota Wild are in.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, at this point, though, like, again, I would say after this season, there's not a whole lot of use for him going back to Denver for a third year, to be honest.
I think we all know he's leaving.
But, like, here's where I will...
Joe Smith told me what his current course load is. He's like, there's no way this dude's staying.
Oh. What?
But, I mean, we all knew that. That's not a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, Denver's going to be in the hunt again for another natty this year. He's won. I mean, like, it's unbelievable how much he's won already at his age. Like, it's ridiculous. He is one of, if not the best defenseman in college hockey. Even if he signs this year, I don't even think you can guarantee him a spot in next year's lineup, just when you look at, like, how many guys are still going to be here. And, like, I don't think, like, people should be all that disappointed if, like, he ends up playing a lot in Iowa next year. Because, like, again, very different style to Brock Faber. Like, Brock Faber had that, like, defensive game pretty much nailed down already. And the offense was just like a pleasant surprise. And he's like maintained like pretty good offense this year too. So he might just be looking at a guy that's going to give you like legit shutdown D and like pretty good offense from the back end. Enough offense. Like obviously you want your like number one offensive
Brock
to be like
offense Faber.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. Proficient offense. Yeah. But like if Zeev ends up in the A a lot next year to work, just like continue growing that defensive game too. Again, he's already a solid defender in his own right, but it's just like a very different style of defense. Like Brock Faber was like a shutdown defenseman who was like giving you, again, like his last year in college, he put up good offensive numbers, like really like uncharacteristic at that point for him. And then he just like replicated it in the NHL his fucking rookie year, which is ridiculous. But yeah, they're very different defensemen. I don't think people should expect the same level of impact immediately from Jesper Buljum, but like his upside probably as far as like someone that's a solid defender but gives you legit offense at the NHL level, it's like a higher ceiling almost than a Brock Faber in that sense.
Yeah.
But like if they end up, again, I would love to see him sign after whenever Denver's season ends. Give him a couple games. I wouldn't be disappointed if he's not playing in like the playoffs though.
Right.
Like if he's probably gonna be like a black ace, keep him around, like let him
be disappointed.
Yeah, people will be disappointed, but like it's not unreasonable, I guess is what I mean.
Yeah.
But I mean he's just
awesome.
Yeah. But he is just having such another ridiculous season. Again, the fact that he's played fewer than all these other defensemen, and he's got like he's 1 point away from leading the country for D scoring. Like he is just absurd. So I would expect him to sign after the year. And we'll see what happens, how much he plays in Iowa versus Minnesota, but that's more the same.
That's not something that I'm worried about. I'm good either way. And everyone should check out, if you haven't already, Joe and I had an interview with Jesper Buljum right before World Juniors. Awesome. Full interviews up already on YouTube. I think it's like one of our highest viewed interviews. So you've probably already seen it. So I apologize. And Joe's actually he did a full sit down with him when he was out there for that Martin Luther King Day game against Colorado. Sat down with him for a couple hours, talked through a bunch of things. He's gonna have an article coming out on The Athletic soon. Z, let's move on then to two players, Charlie Stramel, Jimmy Clark. What a weekend it was for Michigan State. My biggest takeaway, to be completely honest, we saw two different Charlie Stramels when you came to visit and we were in the Gopher press box, right? Like Friday night, not his night. Saturday night, torched. This kid can fucking move. For a big boy, he cruises. And it's not even just like top end speed. Like he's got some like pickup and get going. Like I was actually pleasantly surprised in a couple of spots this weekend where he just like, holy crap, Charlie Stramel's already in this play. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing with him is like you think of leading up to his draft season, the big calling for him was the fact that like, yeah, he's big, he's super physical, he plays that power forward game, but he's a really, really good skater. And like not even necessarily like the speed that he gets up to, but those first few strides, the amount of power he can generate, like he is not far behind. Like he'll break up a play in his own end and he is right with the rush going the other way. Like he gets like 0 to 60 real quick. Like his first few strides, he generates so much power that he is like, that's part of his power forward game. Is it's not just like him being a big brute. It is legitimately him like making a physical or just like solid defensive play in his own end and joining the rush and being a part, and like not as like a trailer, but like potentially like leading. Like it is crazy how much power he can generate just like first 2-3 strides. But I mean, again, just more of the same from him this season at Michigan State. I mean,
we got under good authority too, by the way, Z, via both Russo and Joe. They expect him to go back for another year at Michigan State, which I'm so supportive of. I've said it on here. I've said it on Fellowship of the Rink. I want him to go back for another year. I think that does very well for him, for a guy who's had some turbulent seasons. Give him a place that he got comfortable. Let him see if he can take another step in a comfortable environment, and then bring him in.
Yeah. And I mean, I think last time we talked about this, it was like, as long as he is happy on board, not like pissed off,
Totally.
Considering like, I don't want to like whatever sign in Minnesota, I'm fine. Like, because realistically, like you said, like since his freshman year at Wisconsin, this is the first full season he's played in general, just without getting injured.
Right.
But like the first positive environment that he's been on a really good team, and he's like their go-to first line center. He kills penalties. He's on their first power play. Like he's putting up points. He's got 23 points in 26 games so far. He's just giving them a little bit. I said this last time I talked about him too. Like he's just been very composed. Like has not like thrown any bad hits. Has got him thrown out of games. But he's been their go-to guy along with his boy, the Tampa Bay Lightning, best looking guy, may as well be the best dressed guy. Yeah,
he makes really good waggle hats right now. Makes really good waggle hats.
Phenomenal.
It's too bad because if he was on any other team, he'd probably be a front runner for the Hobie, but he plays with Trey Augustine. So sorry, bud, you're not winning it.
That being said, he does lead the country in points.
Yeah, whatever.
Right in front of Snuggerud. But like I thought again, like Michigan State, they kicked the shit out of Minnesota. I think it was the second period. There was a flurry of goals.
I think
it was a 6 or 7 minute period where they just like
the first half of the game, right? So first period and first half of the second, like was fine. Like the Gophers definitely have things they'd like to clean up, and they wouldn't tell you it's their best game, but like it was competitive. The back half of the second and the third, Michigan State fucking punished the Gophers. It was bad. And then, like, yes, it was a competitive overtime shootout game on Saturday, but like the ice was tilted towards Michigan State for a lot of the game. There were definitely spots where Minnesota looked like Minnesota, but there's concerns if Michigan State isn't the stalwart team that they are. And let's be real, like Trey Augustine's a factor in it for sure, but it's a bummer being clean swept in a season by a team when you're number 3 in pairwise and I believe number 4 or 5 nationally ranked by voters. So like it's tough for the Gophers, and I don't mean to brush past it quickly because I know we're against the clock here for me to get out, but like Jimmy Clark, he is what he's been. Like he's a reliable, consistent, can do everything jackknife guy that can play on any line. And he's done just that when healthy. Like there's not a whole lot to report on Jimmy. He's continuing to progress, doing exactly what he's done. I don't have much else to say about him.
I thought he was really good on Saturday. I thought he was really, really good. He ended up with the assist on the
he was playing with Matthew Wood and who? Can't remember. Because it was weird that like Wood and Moore had actually played really well and built some chemistry in the past couple of games. And obviously Friday didn't go to script, so Bob shuffled stuff up. But like Jimmy Clark is, for the Gophers, not an NHL team, but for the Gophers, he is Brian Rust. He's a guy that can literally play line 1 through 4, and you're going to be happy no matter what.
Yeah, I was just happy again. I thought he was really good on Saturday, and I was happy he got an assist on that goal. Because I mean, like the assist that he pulled, like it was him like picking up the puck at the wall, making a couple of really good moves, and like driving to the middle. I think it was like he put a shot on it and someone tapped it in. But it was, he started off the year obviously playing with Matthew Wood. Was it Kurth? Was it Kurth? Yeah, I think it was Kurth.
In Friday or
no, at the start of the year when he was putting up tons of points.
Oh, it was Clark, Wood, Kurth.
Yeah. And then like after all, like they got all those injuries back to back, which was nuts. Like the lineup was just different almost every night. They came
out of World Juniors as a top 4 team with all the injuries they had leading up. I'm
seemingly different line combos
really not
almost every
worried.
game.
I'm not worried about the Gophers, but this weekend where they were healthy again, they're still kind of getting their wits about them with like a full roster. Michigan State's a good team. The way that Friday finished concerns me. The rest of the weekend, like if you look at the first half of Friday and all of Saturday, like Gophers are going to be fine. The back half, though, was brutal. It couldn't have gone worse, and I'm not excusing it, but I'm also okay looking past it if they take care of business this weekend against Wisconsin when our favorite hockey coverage person, I can't give him any better title than that, Mike Grinnell is apparently going to be here this coming weekend, and I'm not happy about it.
See, there's no one that knows more about the game.
No one knows more about hockey than Mike.
No, but that again, like Michigan State, it was a 9-3 on Friday. I had to pull up the actual. So I remember it was the 4-2 goal on the power play for Michigan State. That was halfway, just over halfway through the second period, and that's when the ice really tilted. And I think in the third period they scored 3 times.
Third period was rough. It was rough.
Yeah. But like the goal that Stramel scored was one that like we haven't seen a ton of. Like it was him off the rush and he just like ripped one short side. It was funny. A couple of his assists this year have been from him winning faceoffs. But again, like his faceoff numbers have been ridiculous. Like on Friday, he went.
Which is good because
21 for 25.
Gopher faceoffs have been fucking bad.
Yeah, he went 20,
especially on the kill.
On Friday, he went 21 for 25. Like he was
just like winning. Holy shit. Yeah. A lot of faceoffs. Well, I mean, you get a lot of faceoffs when you get scored on that much, I guess. But all right, fair enough. We got to move it along because I got exactly 11 minutes before I am mandated contractually to be out of here.
Yeah.
Aaron Pionk, we got to talk about it. He's definitely looked okay and looked the part. Another one that's a long shot to actually play Minnesota Wild minutes, but like you're happy with the progress he's made, especially after last year was kind of ho-hum.
Yeah, I mean, like even last year, he put up really good points. It was just such a weird year for you.
Offensively, there were some big warts.
Yeah, and I mean, like I think for him, those warts are always going to be there, considering he's been a defenseman for like 4 years. And then this year, though, he has taken another step where like Duluth has actually pulled off a couple big time wins. Like recently, they split the series this weekend with Denver. I think it was Arizona State they pulled one out on.
They've also had some really bad weekends.
At the start of the year, it was very bad. But like Pionk's just
started the year being the first half of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. But Pionk has just been solid from the get-go, where it's like, again, he's like my class, like for this year specifically, the prospect pool, like he's been the first ballot. I had my guy Hall of Fame where they'll lose like 6-2 and he's a +2. It's like, I had my guy, dude. I don't know what you guys were doing on the ice. He's got 20.
That's an awesome way to frame that. I had my guy Hall of Fame.
I had my guy. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite things that like listening to like when Chicklets has a guest on and they'll talk like, yeah, we got the shit kicked out of us that night. I was +1. I had my guy. That's pretty good. Funny. But Pionk, dude, he's got 20 points in 24 games this season. And he's also a +3 on a Duluth team that's under 500. Like, and again, like recently they've pulled out some big time wins. He's playing just under 20 minutes again for a guy that like just became a defenseman. Probably a long shot, even to be a full-time NHL D-man. Like it's with that mold of defenseman. What was that Russo's thing? It was his son.
The son. Yeah,
yes,
was that about Pionk or was that someone else? Damn it. That son, because that's right. We did that with Juracek and someone else, and I can't remember who it was. Yeah, that was a fun bit. I forgot the origins of it, but it was with Pionk. Like, oh yeah, Neil Pionk's son. Fuck, it's his brother.
Yeah. No, but he's tied for 8th in the country in defenseman scoring. Like, he's playing really well, both sides of the puck on a Duluth team that, like, I mean, they get hemmed in. They're really punching above their weight in a lot of games. So he's just a fun player to watch. And like, yeah, a lot of his points do come from the power play, but like defensively off the rush, he's been solid. And even in his own end, like I think he has taken 2 steps forward, honestly, like just like watching his USHL tape in his draft plus 1 year. Yeah. And like how far he's come in his own end. Like, I mean, in Boston, we have Mason Lowry here, who became a defenseman, I think, his junior year of high school, which was like ridiculous. He's like,
I think that no, but I think that works. You can't go from defense to forward. You can go from forward to defense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because
it makes sense to an extent if you're the right kind of player, but that's fair. And I'm just going to call it out right now, Z, based on the time we've got left. Next week, we're going to do Scandinavia and Russia, the whole Europe bit, just so you don't have to rush through and like not give anyone their fair due. So that's for sure happening next week, everyone who's listening. We got one more NCAA guy, but you can continue on Pionk.
Yeah, no, I just think like he's shown so much growth, like especially obviously since he got drafted out of the USHL. But like, you know, last year he still put up good offense, but this year he is doing it both ends of the ice. And again, like I think Duluth now they're what 5. I think they won 5 or 6 games, or maybe they have won a couple big ones recently that they're closer to 500.
They've looked good since Christmas, but before Christmas they were abysmal.
And he's been since then. He has been solid for them.
It's pretty much the him and one other guy show. Yeah. I assume you know who the other guy is.
Yeah. I always forget. I'm like, oh yeah, he is still there. Good for him. They've lost so many fucking guys.
He's from Hermantown. They won't leave, dude.
I know. But yeah, I mean, like, good for Pionk,
no, dude. Trust me. To this day, it hurts Max Veach to his core to watch Isaac Howard just torch for Michigan State.
I mean, literally lead boys. Yeah,
that's a real bummer.
But dude, he puts up that Pionk scores a goal in their 4-3 win versus Denver on Friday. And I mean, he's blocking shots too. Like he's got 17 blocks now. Like he is just doing a little bit of everything. But like the offense is definitely jumping. More so than it was last year, even though he was good offensively last year. But like the defensive game has been very impressive. So he's just another guy that I have in that like Kalen Parker conversation where it's like he gives you a little bit of everything. Kalen Parker has more defensive prowess to his game, but like these are the prospects where it's like they're fun to have in the pool. They're fun to watch. They're fun to track and like watch their growth and development over the years, knowing that it's probably a long shot that you're going to see them full time in a Minnesota Wild sweater. And a guy like Pionk, like, we'll see what happens with him at the NHL level in general, but
it's a dice roll, man.
He's been so fucking good this year for Duluth. Again, like you said, since Christmas, they have been really, really good. Like the teams that they've gone up against some of the top dogs, and like they're usually splitting now. Like again, like they beat Denver and then they're on Saturday they lose 2-1. Like they've just been solid. So.
Well, last guy then for college hockey, unless I'm missing someone, you might tell me that I'm crazy.
You're missing a couple.
I'm missing a couple? Fuck. All right, I got one on top of mind. List me all of the ones we haven't talked about.
Riga Lorenz.
Yep.
Ryan Healy.
He was the one.
And I don't know if you even count Nate Benoit.
Don't count him. I don't even know where he was now. Where is he now?
Going to PX now.
Oh, then I definitely don't want to talk about him. We can talk Lorenz and Healy, but we've got a minute and a half each tops.
No, yeah, that's fine. It's been a bit of a weird year for Lorenz. Like you would expect after last year, how well it went, that he would like continue growing. He has been like kind of thrown back in like a pretty defensive role again. Like he's been playing a lot in like the third and fourth line. He's killing a ton of penalties. I think he's only got like 6 points this year.
Those are good skills to build though for a guy that like is not going to play higher than a third line in Minnesota in his best case scenario. So like not bad.
And I've talked about him a lot since he got drafted. He's a very fun player. He's just another, like even at the forward position, like he's such an interesting kind of player. I think playing college hockey has been really good for him to grow like both ends of the ice, specifically defensively. Like last year, again, I mentioned this last year, like you think he scored 4 or 5 shorties. Like he is on their first PK unit and he is just playing a pretty defensive role. So like I think he's got 6 points this year versus last year it's just under a point per game. And that being said, like when I do watch, I like watching Denver when they're going up against like the top 5 teams in the country. And it's like, I see him obviously a lot in his own end, but like he's missed a couple like grade A's, but he's also setting guys up, but he's also just like breaking so many plays up in the neutral zone and then creating offense that way too, where he just like, he can give you a little bit of everything. And I like his offensive upside. I do have questions just about like where he ends up fitting in Minnesota in general, obviously, but like in an NHL lineup, I wonder how scouts feel about him, but he's a big kid that moves well. He plays both ends of the ice solidly. And like, we know about his shot from like his draft year. And he just happened to go to Denver. It was like one of, if not the deepest team in college hockey since he's been there. So we'll see what happens. And it was interesting last year hearing about how often, almost after every game, like the development staff was on the phone with him, breaking the games down with him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we know that the organization likes him a lot. Obviously, they wouldn't have taken him in the second round if they weren't. But they've been engaged with him over the last couple of years. So we'll see.
Right.
Then lastly,
you got 1 minute for Ryan Healy, who is the smartest prospect for the Minnesota Wild. Go.
Over at Harvard, 2 games, 1 against Cornell, 1 against Colgate. Put up an assist against Colgate. He's got 7 points now in 19 games. Harvard's a weird team. They still have a couple of really solid players. They lack pretty much any like top prospects. Since Coronado left, like that whole class was like, they had some studs.
Yeah, that was the year they were supposed to torch and then just didn't. Yeah,
no, I think that was the year they were like 10 or 12 in the country going in and just didn't really make it.
They were everyone's upset sweetheart pick and they lost right away.
They're a huge pain in the ass to play against. Like they're fucking crazy physical. And like St. Louis kid is a stud. I can't believe he still hasn't got drafted. Like he is electric. Oh yeah, he is electric on the back end, dude. He is like so fun to watch and like shocking. Not very tall, but he is a fucking
no. I just imagine that Martin St. Louis' wife is 6'6". He's like, we need to make real NHL players, sweetheart.
Yeah. No, but it's I mean, like again, like I think Healy probably plays 27, 28 minutes a night. And like again, the one time I saw him live this year was against the USN TDP, and he hit the crossbar or the post 4 times. So he's got an absolute cannon, really fun to watch offensively. He's growing every year defensively. Again, like probably a long shot to crack like the Minnesota Wild roster, or definitely a long shot to crack.
Wicked smart.
The NHL or the Minnesota Wild roster, and same thing like NHL in general, but very fun player to watch. Harvard's just a very weird team. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of like just a slog fest every game, and like they have flashes of some offensive brilliance. But he's got a great shot. He's very fun to watch. And again, he's one of those guys that, like, I swear to God, his heart rate slows down under pressure at the blue line, where he is not afraid to fucking just hold on to the puck, dish, or shoot. Like, it's very fun to watch. Well, there you go.
There we go.
We'll do Europe next week.
There you have it. Europe is next week, plus general nonsense that we bring you. Appreciate you all tuning in. Z, what quote do we end on here? We need a good one. I pick them most weeks. Give us one good movie quote. Doesn't have to have anything to do with anything we've done here today.
No, what I've been watching a lot of recently is Eastbound and Down, and none of those. I
got a good one from there.
It's not for my protection. It's for you. You don't know what shit I have.
How about this one, Z? Smilf. Oh, end it. End it.
End it.